Hi everybody, this is the Baseball High, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. And we're getting awfully close to getting monetized. Whenever I post a video and you subscribe to this channel, I need you to watch the entirety of the video because I need to get the 4,000 viewed hours to get it monetized. We got over 1,000 subscribers on here. I can't thank you enough. Worked very hard to bring this channel back to life. But with your help, you've helped me. Because this channel was kaput. But we're going to give you some rumors here for a nice Wednesday video very early. The Texas Rangers. This is from SI.com. Texas Rangers buyers for pitching ahead of trade deadline. Adding to both the starting rotation and bullpen seems to be the trade strategy for the Rangers going into the August 1st deadline. The Rangers have three priorities going into the deadline: pitching, pitching, and pitching. That's the opinion of MLB.com, which compiled a list of every team's strategy going ahead of the August 1st deadline. The Rangers have been almost exclusively linked to pitching for a while now due to the loss of Jacob deGrom to injury and the struggles in the bullpen. Recently, the Rangers have been linked to White Sox starters Lucas Giolito, who got destroyed by the Mets on Tuesday, and Lance Lynn, and of course there are the daily rumors surrounding the two-way star Shohei Ohtani. I can't imagine the Angels trading him within the division. That's interesting. This is from MLB.com. The Rangers opened the trade deadline floodgates early when they traded for Royals reliever Aroldis Chapman on June 30th, but Texas still needs more help on the pitching staff. Texas has two starting pitchers with a sub 3.00 ERA, Nathan Eovaldi and Dane Dunning, plus John Gray with a 3.45 ERA. But the rotation still needs help and depth to make a playoff push behind them. An even bigger issue sits in the bullpen, where the Rangers have a 4.4 ERA, 7th worst in MLB. Chapman was an important add and will surely move into the closer role sooner rather than later, but even more additions are sure to come. Chapman picked up his first save of the Rangers on Saturday. Well, it doesn't matter. Who cares about that part? I'll give you a couple examples of guys. I'll give you a pretty good example of two guys that could help them out a lot. One is David Robertson of the Mets. He could certainly help the Rangers out because he can go and become closer. You can have him go in the 7th inning, 8th inning, whatever you need him to do. And the other, believe it or not, is Max Scherzer. The New York Mets should think about making some kind of trade with the Rangers, because the Rangers have one of the best farm system in Major League Baseball. They have some of the biggest prospects in Major League Baseball, and they should look to try to acquire some in any kind of trade, in particular for Max Scherzer. You're not going to get a top prospect, but you'll get a prospect in the 10 to 15 range for Max Scherzer at this point. And you could get a pretty good pitcher for David Robinson. Last year the Phillies acquired David Robinson for the Cubs, and they had to give up actually a very good prospect that was a pitcher in their system. Now the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox obviously have had a very interesting season. Most years they've been in last place in the American League East, but they've been a pretty good team. They've had the New York Mets will be playing them this weekend. I'll let you know what I think about them. But they have played really well, in spite of the fact they've been in last place. Now they are in 4th place now with the Yankees, the New York Yankees in last place. Who would have thunk it? And they're playing like a last place team, by the way. But the Red Sox have a lot of work to do because they got 3 teams ahead of them. They got the Rays, they got that powerhouse team in Baltimore, and the Blue Jays. So they're gonna have to leapfrog one of them to make it into postseason in that division. So they have some work to do now. According to the Bleacher Report, they're looking for a starting pitcher, a 7th inning reliever targeted at MLB trade deadline. Now I don't know the level of their farm system, so I think they're kind of like in the middle of the bottom of the pack. As this season's MLB trade deadline is quickly approaching, the Red Sox are exploring ways to improve their roster, but they reportedly won't be making a splashy move. According to WEEI, Rob Bradford says, there's a belief Boston priorities are two things that might not cost a ton to acquire, which are starting pitcher for the back end of the rotation and a right-handed seventh-inning reliever. Bradford went on to state that the Red Sox seem content in riding with their current rotation, which consists of Brian Bello, James Paxton, and Cutter Crawford while they wait for Chris Sale, Tanner Hoke, and Garrett Whitlock to return from the injured list. He mentioned that Boston is hoping for the integration of a Rich Hill type, named the Pittsburgh Pirates starter, who likely wouldn't cost much to acquire amid a middling season. So again, this sort of tells me, just reading this, the tea leaves, that the Red Sox don't have a very good farm system. As for improving the bullpen, the Red Sox reportedly could be eyeing a group of relievers from another American League team. Keep an eye on the White Sox list of potentially available relievers: Ronaldo Lopez, Kenyon Middleton, and yes, Joe Kelly. So that's something to keep an eye on, is with the Red Sox, who they're going to acquire. And finally in this video, the Colorado Rockies. Now we're going to talk about a seller instead of a buyer, which we've been mainly talking about sellers in these videos. This is MLBTradeRooms.com says this. At 36-58, the Rockies sit at the bottom of the National League and have MLB's third worst overall record, leading only the A's and the Royals. Oof, that's not good. 22 games into 500. While Colorado's developed a reputation for hanging on to potential trade candidates at the deadline instead of moving them at peak value, manager Bud Black said in an appearance on MLB Network's radio that the Rockies will likely be more active in 2023. Quote, I think there's probably more potential this year. This year is the year where possibly you could see more movement out of us with the players that we have, what we have going on in the second half of this year. And going into next year and the years beyond, it can make more sense to be a little bit more active. Unfortunately for the Rockies, a number of their would-be trade chips are on the injured list, so that's not good. Herman Marquez, Antonio Centellatella is going to get Tommy John surgery. Kyle Freeman is on the IL. Lefty reliever Brent Sutter is a rental in the midst of a strong season, but he's still been out since late June with an oblique strain. Ugh. This is what happens when you get bad teams. Bad teams often have good players on the injured list or disabled list or whatever you want to call it. Couple of guys to keep an eye on. They always say Daniel Bard's going to get moved. He never gets moved. He's always there. Keep an eye on reliever Pierce Johnson. Now, I heard this name with the New York Yankees, and that's outfielder Randall Kreitzer. Keep an eye on him. And Brad Hand. Everybody tells me how great Brad Hand is. He pitched for the Mets. He's terrible. He's terrible. And, of course, other players that could generate some interest is Justin Lawrence and Jake Bird. The guy that would probably bring out the most in terms of talent is Elias Diaz, who obviously was the MVP of the All-Star game. I don't know if he'd be moved. They've had such a good story with him. But he's on a, he's on a 3-year deal, $14.5 million. And the contract expires next year. I don't know. I don't know if they'd move him. A guy that's not going to get moved is Ryan McMahon. He's not going to get moved. Now the Rockies have to be smart, which they are not. They've been a disaster the last few years in making decisions. But they don't want to make the same mistake they made with Trevor Story. Held on to him, lost him, got nothing. Or they traded Nolan Arenado and got pretty much nothing. But absolutely nothing. And the Cardinals got a Hall of Fame third baseman. And they lost a Hall of Fame third baseman. So, you let me know what you think about this entire video. The Red Sox, the Rangers, and of course, the sad Rockies. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut 2. Thank you, and I'll see you later.